I didn't meet any killers, no. I'd like to. You know, some of them are still alive. We travel around the country and teach FBI techniques to cops.
You guys mind if I bother you for a minute?
She was found cuffed and lashed to the bed. What people won't do to each other. There's nothing people won't do.
How can we help?
So, serial killers, that's not a very family-friendly topic. But in your own words, what is this show about? Very briefly.
I would say that Mindhunter explores the lives of two FBI agents, played by Holt and I, and the birth of criminal profiling at the FBI in the late 70s.
Okay, and what drew you to this project? What was so interesting to you about it?
You know, I had an opportunity to work for David Fincher a couple of times in the past, and he's an amazing talent. One of the most extraordinary directors of his or any other generation. And I like the subject matter. I think it's a fascinating subject matter. So to be able to work with David again and explore this world was just a really exciting opportunity.
David Fincher has a certain reputation that he can be very demanding of his actors. Did you prepare Jonathan for what was coming for him, working with David Fincher? Or how was it?
Jonathan can take anything in stride. You know, he's so talented, and I know, but it's the truth. And he's so professional and so prepared. And every morning he comes to the set, and he's got a great attitude, and he's ready to shoot. So he doesn't really make very many mistakes.
But I have to say, I remember when we were doing the camera test for the show, it was kind of our first time where we were in costume. Mm-hmm. And we came in and sat down, and Holt had this focus. I've never told you this. You had this sort of razor focus just for the camera test. We didn't even have lines or anything. We were just sort of sitting there, and he kind of got in, strapped himself in, and was like, And I looked at him and I was like, okay, this is how we do it. And it's that kind of focus, dedication, quiet. There's not a lot of, David likes it to be quiet on set and likes everyone to be focused on the work. And I did get that initially from you sitting in the chair right next to me. I was immediately aware if that's what it was. You kind of set the tone for me.
I had the privilege, as I said, of working for David a couple of times before, so I understood what his style was. And he is a very collaborative guy, provided that you're really focused on the particular context that we're working within, so you have to be very prepared, and you have to kind of play your A game, because he's not very tolerant of mistakes.
How did you prepare exactly for this topic? Because it's a lot of theory about crime psychology, and did you meet with people from the field or scientists?
I did. I went to Quantico, and I got to meet some of the guys that are in the behavioral science unit at the FBI.
But you didn't meet any killers?
I didn't meet any killers, no. I'd like to. You know, some of them are still alive. Some of the guys, and they're serving life sentences. All of the guys that we interviewed are convicted serial killers that are serving, most of them multiple life sentences. But I did get to meet John Douglas, and I play a character that's loosely based on a gentleman named Robert Ressler, who was the partner of John Douglas, but he died in 2013, so I was not able to meet him. But I did meet some of the guys, and then I read their books. John Douglas has written 15 books. The gentleman that I play, Robert Ressler, wrote 5 books. And there's just volumes of material about these men, these serial killers. The public is endlessly fascinated with them. So the research kind of goes on, and I think it will continue to go on for the duration of the show.
But dealing with all these issues and these topics of serial killers, is there a point when you say, okay, that's enough for today, I need a break because this is some very horrific stuff? I've seen 2 episodes. In the second episode, we get to meet this new character who's incarcerated, and he tells things he has done. It's pretty insane. So how do you cope with this?
Yeah, it's a weird balance, because on one hand, it is very intense, and it's like taking off my suit at the end of the day in the trailer and putting on my shorts and my t-shirt felt like, Because we're kind of buttoned up FBI agents in these rooms with these intense serial killers. At the same time, though, it really was a joy to do those scenes because as an actor, it's like a minefield. There's so many different things and so many different elements, and not only are we hearing their stories, but as you'll see as the season goes on, Ed Kemper is very vocal, and that is special and specific to Ed Kemper. We have to find later tactics to get the other serial killers to open up. So the scenes are very complicated and interesting. And so, yes, it's intense subject matter, but it's kind of a dream for an actor because you get to play so many great things.
Did you develop an own interest in these topics, or was it like you said, okay, the day's done, so I now need a break, and I'm gonna, or did you invest more time?
No, because it doesn't end. Because the serial killer that we meet in the first 2 episodes, as Jonathan points out, is a gentleman named Ed Kemper, who we called the co-ed killer, who used to pick up girls in California, and torture them and mutilate them, but then as we go on. We meet other serial killers because that was the purpose of this study.
The who's who of serial killers.
Right, and each one of them is different, and each one of them has to be researched and studied. You have to go in knowing who the guy was, what were the crimes that he committed, and then we're going to try to understand why he committed those crimes. In addition to that, it's a period piece. We're in the late 1970s, so there's a different social and political context. And so you have to have an understanding of that as well. So there's the research is ongoing. It doesn't end.
So what would you say is the outstanding thing about this show? Because there are so many TV shows right now and so many about serial killers or crime procedurals or whatever. What is the one thing that makes Mindhunter so special and so...
Authenticity. The writers really made an effort to show these men as they really are, and not the stylized Hollywood version of what a serial killer is that we've seen in other films. So they look at the real guys, the real crimes that they committed, and they try to show them in as authentic a way as possible. And I think that kind of sets our show apart from other shows in the genre.
All right. How was it for you working together first time? Like I saw the dynamic between your 2 characters. You're the naive good guy, the ambitious kid who wants to try something new. You're a little bit more experienced and think, no, that's not the way we do it, or we have to find another way. How was it for you to explore this dynamic?
For me, it was one of the great surprises of working on the show that on paper that dynamic is there just innately, but as the 2 characters are written. But Holt and I have an energy with each other that we sort of discovered on set. It's not, we didn't read together at the auditions or whatever. And you never know, showing up, hello, nice to meet you. We're going to spend the next year in Pittsburgh living together, working on the show. But we had such a joyful connection with each other. And the relationship between the 2 characters gets so complicated that they wanted, I remember Josh Donnan, who's one of our executive producers, they wanted to explore the idea of this bromance between the 2 characters. So we got to play up the enjoyment, and they have a lot to teach each other, funnily enough. And so it was a joy to sort of play that up throughout the course of the first season. And then as it evolves, things get trickier.
Okay, one question: when you spent some time maybe together when the shooting was done, did you watch any TV shows together? Are you TV buffs? Do we have any TV shows right now that you watch?
We like to go to the theater together. Jonathan is a very accomplished stage actor
and a good singer.
The way you said that.
I believe you're a good singer too. You were on Glee.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
So both Jonathan and I live in New York City. And Jonathan obviously has a Broadway background. He was nominated for 2 Tony Awards.
Thank God.
And both of my parents were Broadway actors, and I started my career in the theater. And so we like to go and see plays, and here in London as well.
We saw Karen Mason in Pittsburgh.
We did.
Singing.
Yeah. So we do, but it hasn't been really television. It's mostly been going out to see shows.
But any favorite TV show of all time? Anything you can always watch?
You know what
Maybe
I was
Boss.
binging during... Oh, good.
I like the show, really.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know what I was actually binging while we were watching Mindhunter is The Crown came out while we were in Pittsburgh. And I was watching that and I was just obsessed with it. And the pace of that and the sort of like look at the lives of the royal family, I found like, oh wow, you know what? Maybe people are really gonna hook into Mindhunter because Mindhunter is a slow burn and it's this sort of like long, steady look at the lives of these FBI agents in the late 70s. And so that I found really inspiring to watch while we were shooting the show.
Thank you very much.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
We need to talk to more subjects. More!
You want truffles? You gotta get in the dirt with the pigs.